Ladies and gentlemen, I announce here today that I am a candidate for the Republican nomination for the presidency of the United States in 2008. I run for president because of an abiding concern for the national security of this country, the economic security of the American people, and concern that America faces today grave challenges and grave risks that I believe that I am in the best position to respond to by virtue of my background, my public record, and the principles on which I will run. I believe I am that candidate, having looked at the field, having looked at the race, and having examined both the candidacy in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and other places across the country. And I announce today that I'm a candidate for President of the United States. I do so because I am convinced that America is not prepared for the challenges that we face in terms of homeland security. As many of you know, I chaired the National Commission for the United States Government on Terrorism and Homeland Security for 5 years. I was asked to chair that commission beginning in 1999. We did 3 reports prior to the 9/11 attack, and then after the commission was extended 2 reports thereafter. In order to prepare this country for the inevitable attacks that will come, we must have an entire community of preparedness: federal, state, local, private sector, community leadership. Even after leaving the governor's office, I formed a nonprofit organization, the National Council on Readiness and Preparedness, and I've worked with that for years and years now in order to push forward the ideas properly for homeland security and to get this country prepared. And yet we sadly see that at any particular moment in time, we may very well see an attack in this country, whether it's by a terrorist organization or even by a deranged individual. Just this past week, we saw a terrible tragedy at Virginia Tech, within my home state of Virginia Tech, a school that I have a great deal of affinity with. Roxanne and I know one of the young ladies who was in fact shot that day, and she survived, I'm pleased to say. But our heart goes out to the mothers and fathers that day who lost children. I can't imagine how a mother and father could deal with that kind of tragedy. I hope that through faith and their family strength, they're able to find ways to cope with those challenges. But it points out to me, and should point out to everyone, the dangers inherently that we face at this particular moment in time. Based on my track record and experience, I believe I'm prepared to deal with those issues. I was the governor of Virginia during the 9/11 attack. Even after having worked with these issues for years and years and reporting to the Congress and the President the dangers that were involved, then the 9/11 attack occurred. Roxanne and I were together that morning in the governor's mansion. We saw on television what all of you saw: the first tower of the World Trade Center in flames. We watched as the plane went into the second tower. And then I did my job. I was governor of Virginia at that time, and I was concerned, based on experience and everything that I was seeing, that something had to be done immediately. I immediately picked up the phone and activated the Emergency Operations Center. I immediately picked up the phone and notified the state police if there was evidence of gunplay anywhere in Virginia, that it should be reported to the central headquarters. I picked up the phone and called and activated the National Guard, put the National Guard on alert immediately, and went across Capitol Square just in time to find that the second state attack that day was Virginia, because the Pentagon was in Virginia. And based on the experience that I had seen already with the commission, we supported the local response community as they went in, police, fire, rescue, and did the wonderful job that they did in order to respond at the Pentagon. We watched the response also in New York City, and sadly enough, terrible things happened in New York City. One of the members of our commission, as a matter of fact, died at the World Trade Center that day because the fire people did not have the radios they needed, and it was a sad situation. Nonetheless, this is a concern that I have, and a principal reason why I'm running. We understand the challenge that the United States faces in a changing world in which we see resentment and anger growing all across the world, and we're trying to cope with those issues here in the post-Cold War era. I have a degree in foreign policy from the University of Virginia. I'm an Army veteran. I bring a veteran's perspective to this campaign. I'm also a veteran of the United States Army intelligence community as well. I have traveled all throughout the world on behalf of the state of Virginia in diplomatic issues and trade issues, 12 countries on 3 continents. I chaired the National Commission, as I said, on Terrorism, Weapons of Mass Destruction. I've had the 9/11 experience. I've been an envoy of the United Nations as a citizen advisor to our delegations there. I formed a nonprofit on Homeland Security. I understand these issues that we face, and I know that we have to defeat these people who are using this anger and resentment in order to attack Western civilization and people even within their own communities. We must win this war on terror. We have to do that. And people who, as a matter of faith and religion, believe that they have a right to destroy their fellow citizens and Westerners and Americans, we have to simply defeat these people. And in a larger sense, we have to make sure that they are denied the resources of others around the world, which means America must use all of its powers of diplomacy and economics and the moral high ground to make sure that others around the world are not drawn to that cause, but instead to the cause of liberty and freedom and advancement and progress around the world. Secondly, we have to deal with the issue of border security. This is a problem that has been a chronic problem that's been allowed to go and to get completely out of hand. As early as 1999, when I was chairing the Terrorism Commission, which became known as the Gilmore Commission, we addressed the issue of the porous borders and saw it as a serious national security issue. We have to do something for our borders, and we can.